Well, fans have been wondering when this will happen, and now Spider-Man producer Amy Pascal has shared a massive update on plans for a live-action Miles Morales. Let's break down what she said in the very specific time she says it's coming, because it sounds like it's a lot sooner than expected. Now, before we do that though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos, and we want to be your place for all the superhero news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently so you are in the know. Well, if you're a fan of this channel, you know we have been talking about plans for Miles Morales in live action, well, quite honestly, for a couple of years now. The character has been popular in comics for quite a long time, but now his public persona is on the rise, especially after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, and being at the center of the most recent Insomniac Spider-Man video game. Now, it's been over 3 years since Spider-Man No Way Home was released, and while Spider-Man 4 is currently in the works, it's very, very unlikely we will get a 5th or 6th installment before Avengers Secret Wars reboots the MCU. Now, Tom Holland is expected to take up this role in both of these upcoming Avengers movies, but quite honestly, after they have wrapped up, that's probably the perfect time for him to step away from the role as Peter Parker, despite how many fans want him to stick with it forever. Now, Marvel Studios and Sony have a deal for Spider-Man, and if you know the history of this, it's quite often tenuous at best. And no matter who's the studio, they are always keen on keeping all those box office profits for themselves, and as of right now, Sony is sharing with Marvel. Regardless of how many studios are involved, it does actually sound like Miles Morales in live action is definitely on the horizon. According to franchise producer Amy Pascal, a live action Miles Morales movie won't be seen, and I quote, "until we make 2 more movies. Someday, we're very happy doing the animated Spider-Verse movies." Now, that does sound like it's a little far out into the future, but shortly after she said this, one of the Spider-Verse producers and writers, Chris Miller, took to Twitter to clarify, and he added, when she said not until we make 2 more movies, she meant Beyond the Spider-Verse and the live-action Tom Holland film. Now, consider the fact that he is also one of the producers for Silk and Spider-Man Noir, so he definitely has an inside track on what's going on in Sony's world of Spider-Man. Now, how this manifests is super unclear. It could actually be a TV series, which will be rather expensive but a massive hit, or even a movie. But we do know at least the younger version of the character is probably off limits until both of these movies finish. Now, we don't have release dates for either one. Beyond the Spider-Verse was supposed to just be, well, quite honestly, a few weeks away from release, and that got moved to a to-be-determined date, meaning Sony doesn't even have a release date for it because, as many of us believe, the movie is not even close to being done. Also, Spider-Man 4 is in the very early stages of pre-production, and is very likely at least 2 years away from release. So the possibilities of a live-action Miles Morales, as great as that sounds, would at least be 4 or maybe even 5 years away. Now, I have no doubt we are going to see a live-action version of Miles. I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw him show up in Secret Wars, helping plant the seeds for Sony to take off with the character shortly after that movie. If Tom Holland does only sign for 3, I'm pretty sure Marvel's going to use him for both those Avengers movies and Spider-Man 4, and if those are the plans in place, it does make a transition after the MCU's been rebooted, well, fairly easy. It does beg the question, though, if this Miles Morales live-action version will exist within the MCU or within Sony's Spider-Verse. The reviews from Madam Web are dropping today, and they're really not great, so I'm not sure how many fans feel about Sony handling this, but quite honestly, a future rebooted MCU with Miles as Spider-Man might actually work, and I really do believe Marvel will probably take even more inspiration from the Ultimates, trying to kind of separate the 2 universes in style and tone. When we actually get to see Miles Morales, we're going to have to wait and see, but it's very clear to me Sony wants to bring him to life, and should that happen, well, I think they have an instant hit.